And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Glad to see you here. Today we'll do another round of our Fireside chat. Today I'm with Gret and Jesus. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we have some topics to talk about today, and I think we'll just jump right in. And Gret, if you want to take the lead.
Yeah, I'm happy to start away. I want to talk mostly about a couple of different, more social media channels, I want to say. And I want to start it out with Instagram, because last week they did a major update to their user interface. So really, they changed the entire home screen and what you see in your short commands at the bottom. So this is just to show you what it looks like. Sorry, I can't zoom in more, but you now have your home button, and at the top right, if you look closely, you have the option to share your post and to see your notifications. That's moved from the bottom bar to the top bar, which means that at the bottom bar, they've replaced it with other features. And I'd really like your opinion on this, because I was quite irritated when this happened. And to give you a little bit of insights, the features at the bottom is the middle one is to look at Instagram Reels. So the short videos are kind of very similar to TikTok. And have next to it is to access Instagram shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I was super, for one, you're making it more complicated for the user to see their own notifications and to share something on the platform, but you're really pushing to make this a shopping channel. And that for me was very interesting. And so I wanted your opinion, because I was a little bit irritated, to be honest, at the very beginning.
I think your irritation is probably something that represents the reaction of most people. I think my personal view about how Instagram users interact with the channel is basically that it's basically a good thumb exercise, right? It's not something where you really navigate around and decide a lot of where you're going. It's more, at least the way I use it, is basically you just go from one post to the other. And this step towards bringing in the shopping channels probably is one step towards making you change the way you are interacting with the app. So naturally, there's going to be some reaction about this.
Actually, there's been quite a lot of reactions, especially from influencers on this topic, where everyone is a little bit outraged because the platform is really using it to promote people who are paying for ads and who have shopping listings. But the creators who are really creating things aren't getting shown as much. It's making it more difficult for them to use the app. And actually, that comes coupled with, and a lot of reactions that I read is it comes with the fact that the algorithm shows you only things that you interact with the most, and a lot of posts from your friends and family that you choose to follow just don't get shown to you anymore. And I think it's very interesting to see that this is the approach that Instagram took, whereas if you're comparing it to, let's say, TikTok, where you're also scrolling a lot, even if you're on your For You page and you don't look at the people you're following, the new videos of the people that you're following naturally come into your For You page so that you don't miss a video. And I think it's a very different approach to working with your users.
It sounds like a challenge Facebook had a few years back as well, where the same comments came in about it. You don't see that much content from the people that really matter, and you're just kind of bombarded with this whole ecosphere of content that has no real connection to yourself anymore. So it's interesting to see that Instagram is Facebook, basically goes the same route here. But from like a competitive standpoint, I completely understand the move they made here. I mean, TikTok is right now moving ranks, and Instagram wants to push their Instagram Reels watch time, the amount of time people stay on the app. And I think Reels has been a leading factor in that point in pushing that time engaged. And as we all know, like if you have your phone, the bottom is the most frequently used navigation there is. And if you make it easy to go to Reels and to shopping, that just keeps your user more engaged. And yes, I do believe that lots of people, and especially influencers, the people that create, are not as satisfied with that. But I also believe that lots of people are like, oh yeah, cool, I'll get to my Reels quickly. And they just, the same with TikTok, they just stay stuck and just like scrolling up and scrolling up and scrolling up. And that pushes the numbers up for Instagram and Facebook, and that pushes everything else up as well. So I do understand it from that standpoint. But of course, I mean, from where Instagram has come from and always being a very influencer focused platform, where it's like, okay, we'll do everything for our content creators to be visible. This is one thing probably that has changed YouTube. Also, the fact that TikTok has come into the game.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree. I think from a marketing standpoint, it makes absolute sense what they're doing. And I mean, I didn't actually look at it with my marketing glasses when I was opening the app, because I use it mostly privately, and for some clients, obviously, I also use it. But I looked at it really from a personal point of view of what I would want to see as a user. So I think it's tough to find the balance of what you push and what you use to benefit your users, and how, I mean, which part to keep, right? I think the search bar, for example, could have been moved up, and maybe you could have kept notifications at the bottom, something like that, just to find a little bit of a balance between marketing and just, yeah, respecting what the people want.
Do you think there's a limit to which social media platforms can force these kind of changes without irritating users, in this case, the grids around the world, to leave the platform completely because you're not satisfied with it anymore?
I mean, to be fair, I don't think that a change like this is gonna move people like me away from the platform. I think that I'm far too interested in how social media works and how users interact with it, and I want to understand the platform so that I can use them on a daily basis, not just personally but also professionally. I do think that users who really use it as a sharing app, I mean, I think we see that on Facebook. I only log into Facebook if there's something special happening, or if I'm checking something for a client. I don't really use it personally anymore. That's just because I've shifted away from the app a little bit, just because it's not as relevant to me. I use it to keep in touch with contacts via Messenger mostly. Mm-hmm. But I think, I think you can I think this was a really big update all at once, where a lot of the interface changed. I think a smart way to do it is maybe to do it little by little. I think people need to get used to things and not have a drastic change. And I think something that a friend of mine said to me is, it just feels like she has to relearn how to use the app, because all her automatic movements, when she opens the app, she checks her notifications, she wants to go to the search bar, she wants to add a post, all of that has changed all at once. And I think if you do that slowly and it's little by little, it's less adjustment that you need. So it might seem more natural.
So it's not so much the nature of the changes, or if there are changes at all. For you, the most important part is how these changes are introduced, so they don't really disrupt the normal relationship people have with their channels.
Yeah, I think if it's as native as possible, I want to say, then it's, for me, it would be the best way to make changes.
Yeah, I think there's a big connection, right? So Instagram, Facebook, all the big platforms, they have a big engagement, and the people that are on the platforms, of course, they'll be mad short term, but long term they probably stick to the things they do and stick to the platform. And I think sometimes it comes down to that those social media platforms are not really aware of what the changes in UI and UX really have on the user. So something like this, where it is like, okay, I really have to change the way I work with the app, because for many people it is work, and it's not just private, but the money they make comes from that platform. And the changes like this have a big effect on their working process, on what they do, and like Grit said, it's like, okay, wait, I have to relearn this whole thing. And I think people need or the companies need to be more aware of the fact, the impact they have with these kind of changes, whether it pushes the numbers or not.
Yeah. I think I would tend to agree. And I think another topic that I want to talk about with you guys, it's a different platform, but they're also making quite a few changes right now, and that's YouTube. And I want to talk just about some changes that they're making to ads. So there's two changes that I want to mention, and I think the first one is that YouTube has decided that they're going to run ads on videos where content creators are not a part of their partner program. So if you don't have the big enough following, or and you don't have more than the views that you need to be part of the partner program, YouTube is going to start running ads on your videos, but you won't get a revenue share. That'll be for the company itself. And I actually wanted to get your guys' opinion as well on this, because I think it's a very bold move to advertise on your content creators' videos who can't monetize them yet. And it might cause, I want to say, a little bit of an uneasiness, dissatisfaction with smaller creators who are probably putting a lot of hard work into it to be able to get to a point where they can show ads on their videos. It also makes it a little bit more difficult to control what's being shown on your videos. If you're a content creator and they're putting an ad on your video, and you can't say, I want this industry on my ads, you don't really have control over what's happening with your video on that platform. So that's my initial explanation of it. I'd love to get your guys' opinion, though.
I think this, I mean, yes, I agree, but I also disagree. And a big part of this is, I think YouTube has been changing a lot for content creators in the last 2 years or 3 years. And I think it started with the adpocalypse 3 years back now. I'm not sure, where lots of big firms pulled back from YouTube marketing because of some stories from some channels. And I think based on that, more and more content creators have moved to a model that is not connected to YouTube, and they're not they don't need to be so connected to the platform that their revenue stream is held up by them. So what I've seen on the platform is that more and more channels have moved to a direct partnership, and that has been one big chunk of money that has come in. And I think YouTube right now only makes up probably 5 or 10% of the revenue income they make through the videos they do. So one of the big tech channels, Linus Tech Tips, has a sponsored video every time, and he doesn't put ads from YouTube in front of it because the revenue they get for just sponsoring itself is much higher than they would ever get from the platform itself. So I think, yes, it isn't a good move, but then again, I don't think many people care that much, because they have brought up these different channels which they have been able to create revenue streams from direct partnerships, from Patreon, from different video platforms, from subscriptions, and so on and so forth. So I think at this point they don't care anymore, and they're just like, let them do what they want to do. I have my reach here, but I have the revenue streams from somewhere else.
Well, I think I hear your point. I think what we need to keep in mind is that those would not be the channels that would be targeted, right? It would be smaller channels with less than 1,000 subscribers that get less than 4,000 views. So it's this very small niche. I wouldn't say very small channels that are being targeted, but I feel like it's exactly those people who are building up on YouTube and who are trying to grow who will be the most disappointed. And those are exactly the ones that are being targeted by this change. I think, as you said, like the ones who are being sponsored for their videos, they have a reach of millions of people, and they get that much money from their sponsors because they have that reach. But I think the people who are being targeted by this from YouTube are also the ones who aren't getting those partnerships. So who are really making their hobby and trying to make it into work. So I think it's the people who are being targeted that's more the issue for me.
At the same time, small content creators that have not reached the threshold to get the ads before, probably they had in their crosshairs to get to a point in which they get to that level. So this is something that somehow might be in their horizon. So maybe they are a little bit ready for it. At the same time, I understand it might be a little bit disappointing that they're getting the ads, but they are not getting the revenue from it. Sounds a little bit to me like when as a kid your teacher tells you, okay, when you get to this level in your exams or whatever, then you're gonna get something. It's a little bit like the carrot or the candy waiting for you at the end of the road. But other than that, YouTube is becoming a more and more advertising intensive channel for users, for content creators. I think everyone's kind of ready for it.
Yeah, I also think you had a really good point in there, and I think that just brought me to another idea. Is actually it's less disruptive for users if someone then gets accepted into the partner program and starts putting on ads. If YouTube has kind of started to add their own ads into it, you're kind of more used to seeing ads everywhere on the platform, so they kind of become a bit more native to YouTube, and you start noticing them less and less. So I think it kind of also, yeah, I guess we could see that as also a preparation for content creators for ads. Then, I mean, just to stick with YouTube and ads, I just saw, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I just wanted to mention this to you guys, is that I saw that YouTube is launching audio ads for podcast and music listeners. And so they're, from what I understood, is it's going to just be like audio ads where there's minimal animation on the screen, mostly for people who I'm assuming have YouTube Premium, who are listening to YouTube Music, who aren't looking at their screen to get ads. I would imagine that they would be very similar to the Spotify ads if you don't have Spotify Premium. But that's something that I just read this morning that's launching now, and I think that just kind of goes into this whole conversation of that YouTube is changing the way they're advertising.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, I don't understand it from a business perspective, because if you start to put ads on like YouTube podcasts, there's so many different platforms where the same podcast can be listened to, right? So if you are a podcast creator, you'll probably be on Spotify, you'll be on iTunes, you'll be on Google, and so on and so forth. So for if the user is annoyed by the ads, they will just be like, oh, I'll go to the other platform where I don't have ads, or I already pay a subscription because I want to listen to ad-free music. So it's a weird move from my perspective, but yeah, it's YouTube is going heavy on the monetization at the moment.
Do you think it's also maybe a move to get more people to subscribe to YouTube Premium, where there will be no ads?
I will never.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I love Spotify, and I love using Spotify, but the ads were really annoying to me, and that's the only reason that I had Spotify Premium at the beginning, is to tune out the ads. So maybe it's a way of, if we annoy people enough with ads, they'll subscribe to not have ads anymore.
I bought this new Samsung tablet a few months back, and I think I got a half a year free YouTube Premium with it. Haven't even activated it or done anything related to it. So even if it's free, I don't want it.
I mean, to be fair, I'm quite thankful that YouTube has stopped asking me if I would like to subscribe for 1 month free.
They ask me like every third day. I'm like, come on, please just stop.
They got the message.
Yeah, they got the message from me. They've been trying from the beginning. I've just, don't remind me again.
Yeah. At the same time, I tend not to take myself as an indication for any trend that is happening globally. Maybe I am pretty weird in many ways, but I would say that 90% of the consumption I do of YouTube time is actually without watching. Is when I have it in the background and I'm listening to music, or I'm listening to podcasts, or I'm listening to an interview, or I'm doing something else in my main screen. And it might be that it's only me who does that, but I have the feeling that it's not only me. And you could have seen that YouTube actually started taking steps in that direction, into serving people doing the same thing as I'm doing time ago, when they started offering kind of automatically created playlists that, in the same way as Spotify, since you listen to this and this, you might be interested in this another 20 songs that we have for you. Just click here and forget about this. You don't have to shuffle through your songs automatically. So if they have seen that there's a trend of customers using YouTube without looking at the screen, without image. Probably they also realize that the ads that are created with a customer in mind that is looking into a screen, so the image is relevant, don't perform, or they just saw another possibility of selling a different kind of ads. So to me, it's a pretty natural way of moving. How annoying it is and how much they're going to make you run away from YouTube as your go-to place to listen to stuff while you're working, I don't know, but probably it's a calculated risk.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Definitely.
you have a very good point there, and it's nice to see that you're actually one of the people in the target group. So when it rolls out and you get the ads, then you can let us know how it is and what's happening there. So I'll be very interested to learn more about that when you get the first audio ads.
Do you then confirm that I'm the only one who's listening to YouTube without looking into the image?
I mean, to be fair, I have
Good group.
a background and I'll go into things, but I will always peek at the screen, so I'm kind of looking at the video.
Actually, something that I don't know if it's just a gut feeling or if it's actually something behavioral, something that YouTube is doing on purpose, is when you're watching videos, they are get interrupted by ads so annoyingly frequently. In the last, I don't know, weeks, I'm so annoyed about how frequent the ads are happening. But when I'm not looking into the screen, it doesn't happen so often that I have to go and find the tab where YouTube is playing to skip an ad. And I have the feeling this doesn't happen by chance. It could be that they know that if they make me come back and skip the ad, probably I will just close it and go do something else, because it goes from serving me or from being useful for me to being annoying. Maybe they are trying to fill in this gap where they realize that ads are too disruptive for customers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I'm not looking at the screen, I mean, I have a tendency to just not notice when an ad is playing when I'm not looking at the screen. I will just be doing something else and I'll only be half listening. So there'll be an ad for 7 seconds and it'll be a non-skippable ad anyways, and I just won't notice that there was an ad. So I think I just tune it out, or it's very native to what I'm listening to that it doesn't disrupt the playlist.
But Jesus, I think you also had a good article today based on trends and how people react on social media, or companies react on social media.
Well, yes, I found something that I found quite interesting. Let me share my screen here. So, are you seeing my screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect face for Friday morning.
I know. I apologize for that then. So one of the topics that I find quite interesting myself is how social media is changing society, is changing how things happen beyond the own scope of customers who are fiddling through the pictures of their friends in Instagram. As you know, or at least I know because I'm old enough, not so long ago, or that it seems, whatever information you got from a specific public person, politician, an artist, anyone influential, normally reach the big public through the curated intervention of big media, or some media that send a professional journalists who took care of this information. Sometimes they gave context to it, and sometimes they even added their own remarks to it. This has changed a lot, and in the last few years, we see that social media has become the new way in which public figures interact with the big public directly, without anyone in the middle, any filters. And Twitter has become probably the most typical channel for this. As you might have heard, maybe there were elections in the US at the beginning of this month, and before that there was a lot of discussion, a lot of fighting in Twitter between candidates. After that, because of one of the candidates, this lovely gentleman on my screen, doesn't seem to be happy with the results. It's also a big battlefield for what's happening there, and at some point, all the conversation in Twitter became so muddy and so messy that it became public culture, that whatever you find in Twitter is probably not reliable. It's just lies. It's a big mess. So on election night, something interesting is that Twitter started curating the content that users were posting, and they started adding these signs. Probably you saw it whenever the statement from one of the users was too far from possible agreed reality. They added a sign warning readers that the statement behind it might not be very accurate, and actually in quite an intrusive way, which is quite, I found quite shocking. It was from not doing anything, from a policy of everyone can say whatever they want, to actually blocking the whole content. You see here what Donald Trump posted was completely covered by a sign warning you that this might not be true, and to see it, you actually had to click through. Since then, as you can see, if you look at Donald Trump's Twitter today, it's still, all these signs are still being shown, warning you that most of the things he's saying are at least disputed when it comes to the election fraud that he's claiming. And this kind of signs have become part of a little bit popular culture in the last few weeks. It's only 3 weeks that the election took part, and it's a fairly new phenomenon, but it's part of the popular culture already. People are starting to joke with this. People are starting to make pranks with it. People are starting to use these kind of signs in memes, and it's kind of interesting to me also how brands that are very aware of the perception their customers have of their brand and are quick enough in reacting to these things are using this. So actually, I could see this article in Ad Age where it's already reporting how some brands are using this new topic in popular culture to use it in their favor. So, for example, Oreo tweeted that Oreo cookies are the best, and of course they fake added the label that this claim was absolutely not disputed by no one. Some other brands did the same. Well, let's skip this one. Burger King has done something similar. In case you haven't heard, Snickers satisfies, and of course this was never disputed. And other brands, even, for example, this one, Buffalo Wild Wings, is jumping back to an old one of these controversies that or rumors that were spread in the internet that nuggets are just boneless wings of chicken that are genetically modified, so they grow wings without bones, and they jump back to that and play with it, and of course use sense of humor to diffuse this kind of controversies. I absolutely love also this one from Mumbai Police. It's not a big brand, but they used it to refer to when someone says that they only have 3 drinks and I can still drive. This should be in Hindi, I imagine. It's something that cannot be cannot be assured. So basically, my question to you guys is, what do you think of this? Do you think it's just a joke? It's just for fun? Is just a moment of fun in the community managers of big brands? Or do you believe this actually has an impact on how brands use social media to meet their business goals? Big question.
Yeah, really big question. I have to think on it for a second here, but I mean, I want to start out by saying that I think it's very interesting to see that that Twitter is actually adding these statements, and it just shows a whole other part that social media platforms are becoming moderators. They have to control what's on the platform and what's being shared, and make people aware of fake news. And I think Facebook has been doing it for a while in a different way. And it's nice to see Twitter jumping on board. I actually think that it's really funny that brands are jumping on and using this, and I think it kind of brings awareness to the fact that those claims that Twitter is moderating things and that it's necessary to add that on, but they're kind of making a little bit light of the situation and adding humor to it, which I think works really well with the younger generation, which they're trying to attract. Because it's exactly those people who maybe weren't on Twitter, maybe got on Twitter with the election to get to really keep up with things. And I mean, you see it with a lot of different things. I mean, if you look at brands like Wendy's, for example, in the US, they make a lot of jokes in general where they're just roasting Burger King, McDonald's, and they're just making jokes in between them. And I think that's been a long, I want to say, Twitter feud that's been going on for a while. But I think it's really, I mean, I think it's the logical step for them to go if they want to be heard in a lot of noise that goes on in the platform. So I think to reach the younger generation who work with humor quite a bit, it's the right way to go.
No, I had a bit of more time to think about it. I think for a social media team, it is the right thing to jump on trending topics to get a higher reach. I think that's part of the job, right? Is to know, okay, what's the trend right now and what can we use for our brand to have a higher reach. A few years back, that will be this new start of the season for Game of Thrones, and everyone would be posting something related to that. And now it's this claim will never be disputed. And I think that's an important part of the job, to know what's up and to use that to your advantage. But yes, I do believe there's also bigger discussion to be held here, because this is the first time that Twitter has jumped in and be part of the moderator job to say, like, hey, what's being written here is not true and it's not the fact, and please read up on your facts. And I think for anyone that has watched the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix knows in which direction we're moving, and it's become more and more this thing that everyone, all of us here, can just jump on YouTube, on Twitter, Facebook, and generate a reach with something that is controversial and that maybe not be the truth, but will reach people that think in the same way. And the good thing is that social media has brought people together that think the same way, and to find people that have the same passion and so on and so forth. But the other side is that people also find themselves that have a more direct approach on these things. Like, okay, Michigan has a fraud, and Detroit has a fraud, and so on and so forth. And I do believe at these current times, with Corona, with the election, and with the Bill Gates thing we don't want to talk about, but there's so many things happening that it's time for those platforms to take a bigger action to say, okay, please prove it, or this is not true, or please check facts, because what Jesus says is very, very, very true. It used to be the fact you had a big media company that is somehow like the filter to the outside world, what is being told. And I think in Germany we're in a very good place, because we have a our biggest media outlet is paid by us, so it's not a private thing like in the States where you have CNN and so on and so forth that are all owned privately. There is a bigger discussion here, but it is also a good thing that these teams from the social media companies use it for their advantage and to generate some reach around that in some sort of way.
Yeah, I also think that Twitter has been moving more and more in that direction, even ahead of the election. I remember that a couple of weeks before the election, when a lot of news was being passed through, they added a feature where if you want to retweet something with an article, they are prompting you to actually open the article and read it first before you retweet. So to really read it and check the facts before you share it. And I think they're kind of trying to help make users also become the moderators. I just wanted to add that before we get this reaction to our inputs.
I find what you're saying very interesting. Yes, I didn't remember that we actually talked in a previous Fireside chat about how previous steps of Twitter towards trying to diminish the indiscriminate spread of whatever information through their network. To me, there are two main things that I find very interesting. One of them is what has brought platforms like Twitter to take this kind of action, because for many years they have been happily watching from the side of the court, not getting their hands dirty, not taking action, saying, "Hey, this is a free country, this is a free world, this is the internet. Everyone has the right to say whatever you want to say, and it is customers who choose to follow, who choose to listen or to ignore, and that's all the moderation we need." But at some moment, they have actually needed to take the step. And this is probably a quite complicated topic that maybe we could devote a full Fireside chat some other day for it. Probably we cannot finish in a couple of minutes, but for me, it's a very important one. And the second one is how tempting I think it must be for companies who are banging their heads against the wall, trying to give another twist to their ad copy or to their messaging and to make their advertising engaging, and seeing that it is so easy to jump to one of these latest social trends or prank celebrations. But at the same time, I think it's very difficult to do it right. It's so easy that it might backfire. It's so easy that you would push your brand into joining a phenomenon like this, and automatically having part of your audience believing that maybe in this specific case you are taking sides for one of the candidates or the other, which might not be very, very valuable for your long-term business goals. So yeah, it's quite an interesting topic that probably we will be talking about in the next few weeks, months, maybe years, many times.
Yes, I completely agree with you.
Me too.
And yeah, I do believe that it's a bigger topic, and we don't have the time here today to talk about it all. I think we can spend a whole day on it. But maybe to round up our little fireside chat, quick question in the round: what is the most common password of 2020?
2020.
No, but go on.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like big events that are happening where people are like, this is something that's happening that I need to memorize. I can't see people using that as a password.
Yeah, it's not that difficult, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wait, that's the password? Wasn't that the past 10 years?
Yeah, last year it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've gotten one step further. But I think the most is the thing that astonishes me the most is the fact that the statistics for this comes from NordPass, right? And NordPass is a tool to store your passwords so that you can have difficult passwords and only one master password, and it just fills out your whole forms. why do people use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I don't get it. And the next one is 1 till 9. And yeah.
I mean, 1 to 9 makes sense. You can just go like this on your keyboard.
Yeah. So we really haven't gotten very far in this perspective. But yes, so this is the list. Nothing has really changed. But people are not getting more and more creative. Yeah, and it's 2.5 million times, right?
I mean, it's not the same because all the browsers are offering to create strong passwords for you that you can save in your password tool. So, I mean, why not just get that automatic password and sync all your devices together?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have 3 theories about it, actually. The first one is a lot of people out there are fans of this theory that if you want to really hide something, you have to put it where everyone can see it. So basically, I believe maybe some customers, some people are so smart that are like, I know what's the password. No one's ever gonna try. No one believes I'm so stupid to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The second one is that actually, statistically speaking, maybe a lot of times, since a lot of services require a username and a password, but they're not actually secret, and maybe they're to be shared among a group of friends or in a company. I think it happens often that people use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something very simple. So because they don't care if actually someone external access it, and at the same time they don't want people to forget it. So when they don't care and you have to give in a password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the third one,
your Netflix account.
Damn it! Now I have to change it. And the third one is probably we are damned as a species. We're more stupid than we believe, and this has no remedy.
Yeah. Let's go with number 3. Well, great. Thank you very much for this interesting round this morning. I think we had a great talk about lots of social media topics, and there's lots of things happening this year in that case, and the election has been a big part of that as well. And yeah, for anyone still watching, we do this every week. We talk about topics in digital marketing, entrepreneurship, and e-commerce, and we'll be live next week, Friday again. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on the comments here on our website, GANDT.ch. Or on LinkedIn. We're happy to help out, and looking forward to our next round. And I hope you two have a great day today.
You too. Thank you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.